Hello everyone, I am Hossein and in this video we are going to talk about classes. We already talked about classes in our Welcome to C# video. If you didn't see that, make sure to see it. Now we are going to see how to define a class and how to use it. To define a class, we shall write class, then a space, then writing the class name, let's say student. Now, using parentheses, and here we can define our data and methods that we talked about before. For defining data, we can simply write the type, let's say string, then the name of that data, let's say first name. The same can go for the last name. Now, as we said before, in classes we can have methods. To define a method, we write public, and then what we are going to return, let's say a string. Now the name of the method, let's say get full name. Here we will write return first name plus a space and then plus last name. So how to declare this class and how to use it. To declare this class and use it, it's like defining a variable. First we write student, then we will write the name of the variable. Let's say student1. And now we call this student1 here as an object. This is an object of a student class. And this student is the class type. Now, this student1 is null because it doesn't have any memory allocated to it. To allocate a memory to this object, we shall use an assign operator and then new, now student. Now we can use the method that we just defined, writing student1 dot get full name. Now let's put it in console.writeLine here. Now if we run this application, we will receive nothing. What should we do? Why? Because the first name and last name are empty and we will have only a space in the output, in the console output. So we must give first name and last name some value, right? For that we shall write student1 dot first name and then assignment operator and then writing, for example, Joe. But as you see, we cannot assign this to this first name. The compiler says that the first name is inaccessible due to its protection level. Oh wow, what is this protection level? Well, in C# we have a concept called visibility. So we have some visibility levels. One of them is public. To define the first name as a public, we shall write at the start of defining this data public and then a space. Now the first name visibility is public and you see the error is gone and you just could assign this. But you cannot do it for the last name. See? The error remains and it's all because of this private accessibility that the last name has. We shall change it to public. And now you have access to the last name too. Black. One important concept that we have in C# is naming convention. We have many naming conventions in programming languages. One of them is Pascal case. In this naming convention, the first character of every word must be uppercase and the others shall be lowercase. The other naming convention is camel case. As you see, the first character of the first word is lowercase, and then from the next word, the first characters will be uppercase. The other naming convention is a snake case, which you should write it like this: snake case. You use the hyphen to separate the words. In C#, for defining classes, we use Pascal case. And for defining methods of the class, we use Pascal case. But for the data, we use camel case. Now, what if we want to change the first name to the name? We can change it, right? Very easy. But if we do it, we will have many problems here. You see, we shall not only change this function that is inside of our class, we shall also change outside of our class, which we are actually facing with a cascade of changes. That is a symptom of a bad code. When you change something inside of your class, you're altering an internal state of your class. You should not change anywhere else but just your class, right? But for that, we have some options. Let's change this to the first name. Now here and here. We have some options. First, we shall change this to private to make sure that nobody can access our internal data. Now we can write some setters and getters. What are they? They are some functions. We can define the public void set first name. A string first name. Here the first name assigned by first name. And in here, we are assigning this first name to itself. Why it's not assigned to the data that we had in the class? Because both of these, the parameter that we are receiving and the data that we have in the class, have the same name. To explicitly define that, assign the value of this first name to the data that we have in our application, we shall use a keyword called this. By writing this, we are pointing to the object of the student. So now the first name here will be assigned to the first name data here. Now we shall write a public string get first name and then return first name. And then we will come to here to just say set first name and here. Same can happen for the last name. Last name. Set last name, then here a double contention. Now if we change this data to the name, see name, there will be nothing needed to be changed outside of our class. It stays the same. This guy doesn't understand that we were altering our internals. Now you might say that, well, Hossein, this is a lot of code that I should write. Can I decrease this amount of boilerplates that I was writing? Yes, there's another feature in C# that you can use it. It is called property. To define a property, we will write public, the type that we are going to use, the string here, and then by using a Pascal case, writing, for example, first name, get return name, and then set name assigned by value. And now you don't really need this. It can also be applied for the last name too. Here, let's change this to last name. remove this code here, and now let's put this here. Now, how can we use it in here? Very easy. I can say that first name is Joe, and then the same thing goes for the black. Last name, black. By the way, once you define a property and then you use it, you can understand that it's a property. The Visual Studio will show you that, hey, look here, it's a property, not a function, but a property. Very handy, right? Now you might say again that, hey, we still have some boilerplates. Can we reduce it too? Yes, of course you can do it. It can be reduced by removing this. Let me prettify it. Now we shall just write get semicolon set semicolon. Now the name is implicitly defined, and you no longer need this because it is implicitly defined, and you no longer need that too. So the same can go for the last name. I will remove this. I will change this to here, then here, then here. Now I'm going to remove this part and adding a semicolon also here by adding a semicolon and removing all those boilerplates that we didn't really need them. Now let me change this part. Now we're ready to use our class. Now another concept that I'm going to talk about for the classes is a static keyword. Once you use a stat to define a variable, let's say get full name, we write it static space. Now this function is not for any object of this class type. It is for all of the students, and it doesn't belong to any specific object. For that, you can see that in here you cannot use the full name because it does not exist. See? Instead, you can use it this way, writing the student type, and now you can access this function. Also in here, you can see that you cannot use the first name or last name because the first name and last name are related to the objects of a student, not to all of them. So for that, we can define static in here and static in here. You see that now inside of our static function, we can use our static data. These data are not belonging to any object of any class. Instead, they're belonging to the whole student class type. And we can write it here like that. Now it's time for quiz. Now write an application that will receive 5 students' name, last name, and their grade. And the result should be something like this. See, the name, the last name, colon, space, and their grade. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you will be notified once I publish my next video. Thank you.